Welcome back to the Megan Waldrop podcast, the first official full episode of 2026. I'm your host, Megan Waldrop, and I'm so happy to have you here today to talk about why I'm rebranding and what the heck is next. Because you might find yourself in a transition or maybe thinking about a transition and you're really not sure how to come about it. And it's always nice to hear about other people's stories to see how they've done it, how they've navigated it, and maybe it can help inspire you to do the same. So, yeah, I'm just going to go for it. I have a ton of notes because I've realized that I could just keep rambling on and on. So, if you might hear or see papers shuffling in the background, that's me because I'm a human and I need notes. Also, this podcast is now going to be video podcasting on YouTube and Spotify if I can figure it out. So eventually you can see me on YouTube at Megan Waldrop, or I think it's at Megan.Waldrop. And you'll see me like I am, sitting on the floor of my office in front of this antique daybed that you'll probably be like, oh, fix that pillow. Can you fluff that blanket over there? And that's cool. I mean, we are being as authentic and as real and as visual as possible these days. So here we are. If you're new to this podcast, welcome. You're at the beginning of this journey. I am so happy to have you here. And if you've been here before, because this used to be a Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast, thank you so much for continuing to walk along this journey with me. And honestly, I just feel like we're just continuing our relationship with each other. This is not a look at me. This is what I'm doing. This is a more of a, hey, this is what I went through. This is what I'm learning. Here's what I want to share with you in ways that feel more relatable, funny, humorous, and just so we can all continually empower and inspire each other. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're watching or if you're listening, I love you. Thank you for being here. I'm going to dive in. This episode, I'm not sure what it's going to be called yet, but right now it's called Why I'm Rebranding and What the Heck is Next. And so many of you know me as the founder of the Partners of Commercial Fishermen worldwide community. It's the first of its kind. From all over the globe, we have women who've come together to empower, support each other through the most unique, tumultuous, challenging, adventurous life I've ever lived, and that is in commercial fishing. And little did we know along the way that we would start a women's movement within the commercial fishing, and hell yes to every single one of us. Know that you're not alone and know that the industry would not succeed without you. Period. End of sentence. So, POCF, Partners of Commercial Fishermen. What's going on with that? It will always be here forever and ever. You can find it at pocfpride.com. All the blogs, all the podcasts, there's 140. It's not going anywhere. There's also our membership that if anybody is a partner and wants to find community, you can join that membership. Go to pocfpride.com to connect with other women and talk about what's going on in your life and actually have people that can relate to you. So number one, POCF is not going anywhere. The focus of this podcast and my work in the future is definitely evolving. And this is why the heck it's happening. So, oh man, I'm already getting emotional. Why I rebranded. So my husband sold the fishing business in April of 2025, and I knew it was going to happen for several years. And I was constantly preparing myself, and I was constantly bringing myself back to don't worry about the future. Just keep taking your step forwards and supporting this amazing community that you've built with all these amazing women. The answers will come when they need to. But I knew it was coming, and emotionally, I probably had tears about this for years. I mean, on and off, figuring out what that meant for not only the business and the community, but who would I be? Like, who am I, right? If I'm not a partner of a commercial fisherman, which sounds so anti women power, but at the same time, this had been an identity, and that kind of industry becomes an identity. I think if you're immersed in any kind of field, you wear it like a badge. You're excited about your job. You love what you do. And that's the language you speak. It's language that your friends and family don't understand. And it really becomes, lack of the better word, your identity. But it's that gripping onto the identity that's the suffering, right? Like in Buddhist philosophy, they talk about attachment is the root of suffering. Having any attachment to anything is what's going to cause us suffering. And so that identity piece was huge. I knew for years it was happening. And then it actually happened. So he sold the boat in April, like I mentioned. Chris was fishing out in California off of Santa Barbara, Ventura coast on the Channel Islands, gorgeous area. I've lived out there with him for years. And then we bought a house here in North Carolina 2 years ago. And so for 2 years, I had lived in North Carolina and he would fish out in California from October to March, shoulder season, shoulder months to prepare for the seasons. He sold the boat in April, thank God. But it didn't feel like he was gone from the business because that's usually when he ended his season and would come home to North Carolina and we would spend spring and summer together. And he would not go back to California until August, late August. And I will say he would come back to North Carolina if he wasn't going to go to Bristol Bay to fish sockeye salmon for the summertime, like June and July. He did that for probably 8 years of our relationship. We've been together for 10 years. So we sold the boat. It didn't really feel like there was anything huge yet, a big shift for us. But I knew it was coming. I knew the emotional everything was coming. And did I cry when we went on the boat for the last time? Yeah, 100%. Uh, but I knew that this summer was going to be very significant, and selling the boat allowed us to have money that we could put away to focus on, the mortgage, the bills and everything, and just have some breathing space. And so I was like, this is a gift. I need to use this time to really focus on what my next step is with the partners. Am I still a partner of a commercial fisherman, even though I'm literally not a partner of a commercial fisherman? By the way, if you've ever lived this lifestyle, it will always be a part of you, no matter what. But that identity shift is really, really major, not just for the fisherman or the person in the career, but for the families, for the partners. It's huge. Oh, so I gave myself the summer to figure it out. And that's when a trip to Bali, Indonesia came up. And it was really something I didn't think I was going to do. He's a surfer. Number one, that's his heart for sure. And he wanted to go on this epic surf trip. And he was telling me about it. He's like, it's 10 days on a catamaran. And we're going to live on this boat for 10 days and surf in these remote islands in Indonesia. And I'm really thinking about going. It was a huge investment. But I said, you should 100% go. This is your dream. You've worked your ass off to sell this business. Number one, like, hell yeah, celebrate yourself. You should definitely go. And I thought, that's exciting that he's going to do that. And I didn't even think about, am I going to go? By the way, Indonesia is huge. There's tons of islands. And where he was surfing was in the northern part of Indonesia. And then like a couple days later, he said, well, I was looking at plane tickets, and if you wanted to meet me afterwards, we could spend time out there and, and hang out and explore. And I thought, well, that's so kind that he would want me to be a part of this trip in some way, like not the surfing trip, but for me to be with him. I'm like, wow, my husband really loves me. Oh, that sounds funny, but I just honestly didn't even think about going. But then I was thinking, oh, that's really sweet. And yeah, like, why wouldn't I want to go around the world? And then I just kept thinking, well, if he's going on his trip, why don't I look into a trip for myself? I don't have to meet him out there when he's done. I could go in advance and explore on my own and travel. I love traveling by myself. I love spending time alone. It's one of my biggest life kinks, but also it's a necessity. I feel like as women and creative people, which every single person in this world is creative in one way, shape, or form, and having time to yourself is so valuable. And that's where you find the deep messages. That's where you can connect with your spiritual self, whatever that may be for you. So I started looking up different retreats. And I thought, well, I practice yoga every day. Do I want to do a yoga retreat? And then I saw Bali Yoga School, and they had yoga retreats. So then they also had Reiki. And I thought, Reiki? And it said, learn Reiki, level 1, 2, 3. And I was reading about it, and I was like, meditation is a huge part of my life. It's a non-negotiable for me every morning. And so I thought, well, maybe Reiki would be a wonderful place for me to deepen that meditation, to learn different tools to help me feel more open. And I was learning to practice Reiki on myself. I never would have thought I would end up being a practitioner. And I don't think I read closely enough to understand what I was getting myself into, but I signed up for every single level. I was like, I'm doing it all. Like, why not? I'm out there. If I'm going to learn Reiki, probably Bali, Indonesia sounds like a pretty damn nice place to learn it. So I fly out there by myself, and I have to say, I was a little nervous. I had never flown that far by myself in my life ever. I've been to Europe, I've traveled all over the United States, but taking a 30-hour flight just sat different for me. I was landing in Istanbul from Atlanta, and then I was going to Indonesia, and it was equally like 11 hours and a 12-hour flight. And then, end up in a foreign country, and how would I know to navigate? Where am I going? But it was so great. Bali Yoga School, shout out. They had a driver picking me up. Everything was very easy. And I felt really safe there. And so I land in Bali. I'm so thrilled to be there. It's dark when I land. I have no idea what it looks like around me. I have no idea that there are temples literally everywhere. Family temples in like courtyards of like three adjoining houses, three or four houses. They have a temple in the middle that people give offerings to every morning, incense, flowers, food, everything. There's a certain way that they package these offerings, and they give them at least 2 to 3 times a day. But just and then giant temples that people can go visit, public temples. And of course, there's private big temples. But I had no idea. There's also statues of different deities everywhere, but I didn't know, but I could feel it. Just felt awesome to be there. And so if you're not familiar with Reiki, I'm going to read this too because I had to write a note down. I always explain Reiki as being like charging your cell phone for your nervous system so you can feel more clear and calm and more balanced within your body. And I've heard other people describe it as it being like in Star Wars, the Force, like may the Force be with you. Like Reiki is a way to have that Force be with you. And so Reiki, and I'm reading this, is a gentle hands-on or just above the body, hands hovering above the body. It's a practice that helps your nervous system relax and your body reset. It supports the natural flow of energy in the body, helping release stress, emotional buildup, and tension. So you can feel calmer, clearer, and more balanced physically, emotionally, and energetically. So there you go. There's the little synopsis. But when I loved doing this. I learned every single day. It was hours of learning. They also had massages every day for us. The food was organic and vegan and amazing. I'm not vegan. I eat all kinds of food, but it was so nice to just have everything laid out for you. You didn't even have to think about it. And you could just be within this space of ingesting everything you're learning, practicing what you're learning, and just that self-inquiry. It's constant, just you're in a space where everybody is on that same path in a sense. They say that Bali is 80% spiritual tourism, and Ubud, where I was, is probably the mecca of that. That is like the most spiritual city collectively, from my understanding, that you can go visit. So everybody there, tourists alike, are all on this, have this like awakening moment of, it's not like everybody's levitating everywhere, but there's this kind of a vibe that everybody is just in their own space, appreciating, they're connecting, and you're just, yeah, it's just like you're in your own little, I want to say world, but it's not like you're in a trance that everybody looks like, out of the norm, but there's the vibe. There's the vibe there. And so as I was learning Reiki, I had no idea that I signed up for all the levels, and that meant I was becoming a Reiki master. And I thought, oh, what? She said, yes. And so you're doing level 3. And after we go through level 1 and 2, level 3, and you practice for 6 months and you're a Reiki master. I was like, what? And afterwards, I go through another, which I've just done. She teaches me how to do attunements. And attunements is something that each level of Reiki that you go through. An attunement is an initiation in a sense. It's an energetic process that opens up your energy field so you can be a channel for Reiki healing. And this is how people become Reiki practitioners. So you can become a practitioner at level 1. You can be a practitioner, level 2, a practitioner, level 3, definitely a practitioner. The difference with being a Reiki master is that now you can teach other people to become Reiki practitioners if they want. I had no idea that this was going on, but I thought, heck yeah, sweet. This is great. Maybe this is something I can implement into my amazing community. And just, I always love learning. So it's nice to have a deeper understanding of this tradition and this philosophy and this practice. Oh, man, so good. Sorry, I'm just take a breath real quick. So within that means that I had 3 attunements. I had 3 different initiation processes where my energy my were cleared. And it was interesting. It wasn't an immediate change either, but I felt it gradually. And over this time of being in Bali, I was hardly on my phone. I would message my family on WhatsApp to make sure, to tell them I'm alive and show them pictures. And I strategically made Instagram reels and I recorded podcasts and scheduled my newsletters. So for like a month and a half before I left. So nobody even knew I was gone except for my family and a few close friends. If you were following me on socials, you would have never known that from July 24th through August, I was out of the country. And I wanted it to be like that in the sense that I wanted to step away, but I also continually wanted to serve because I love showing up in that way, of course. And so that distance for me brought clarity. And it really wasn't until I got back to the States that I realized how much I had changed. Like when I was over there, I felt there was more of a direction for me. Like, I really do want to share more about my spiritual side. I really want to share more about what I'm learning with others. And I really want to learn what other people are learning or implement in their lives or what they believe, because that really, to me, is the heart of being alive. I really love that we all have different ways of feeling connected to God, the universe, the higher power, whatever you want to call it. And it's so special and so deeply personal that I am just so curious to see how people honor that within themselves. And I do that with all due respect, always. There's never any trying to convince anyone. As I always say, there's no right way, there's only your way. And I just find it fascinating because if you look back into the spiritual texts, that's how other masters of these different religions and these spiritual paths, that's how they learn to bring this different kind of love into their religion and spiritualities because they learned from others. They weren't just in a container in a cave and got this download, was like, and here's what's going on. No, they talked with other sages, they talked with other prophets, they talked with other holy people to see what they could implement and translate into their own teachings. And that is so freaking beautiful. And let's more of that, right? Like let's continue. How exciting is that? So awesome. And it's also funny to think like this is one of the subjects you don't want to talk about at the dinner table. Like you don't talk about money, politics, or religion. I'm like, well, let's just talk about spirituality. Like let's talk about all of it because it all matters. Like that's really what it's all about. But yeah, like I've mentioned, I didn't know the change was really happening until I landed. We landed in Atlanta and I immediately, my digestion was so off. It was like I was immediately like, oh, what? Where am I? I love America, don't get me wrong. But it just was like, oh yeah, I'm back in this other place that has an entirely different energetic field because there's so many different types of ideas and frequencies and people feeling certain ways going on. In Bali, everybody's just chill AF. I mean, it's so curious because you go to Bali, especially Ubud, small streets, busy AF, traffic everywhere. I'm riding a scooter. You can hire a scooter like you would an Uber or a Lyft, and you jump on the back of a scooter, put on a helmet, and you're just zipping through these streets, these hills, through the rice paddies, getting through to the markets and the temples and just cars backed up everywhere, but you don't see anybody getting pissed off. You don't see anybody shaking their fist or flicking each other off. I mean, there's just this calm and peace about it because they're Hindu and part of their religion is to believe in karma. So they're like, I don't need to get pissed because that's already going to be taken care of. Like, I don't need to put any of my energy there. And something that I learned too about Balinese Hinduism is that it seems to be different than Hinduism in India because sure, there's different deities that you'll see statues on different town centers or even the beach, they had one. But they pray, generally speaking, from the people I spoke to, they pray to one God. Like they are speaking to one God. And to me, it kind of reminded me of how Catholics pray to God, but also there are saints. And that's how visually it seemed to me like they were praying. So their Hindu is even different than actual Hindu, which is fascinating. So I get back to the States. I'm getting adjusted, but I'm realizing I just can't function the way that I used to anymore. I have officially become a different version of myself And in order for me to want to truly connect and be authentic with the people that I love, people I haven't even met, but feel that energetic exchange with you always, and people that I'll meet in the future, regardless of when you're hearing this, is I just want to always want to be authentic, and I always want to be as real as possible to share what's going on. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to continue that in the way that it was, because I honestly, I wasn't a partner of a commercial fisherman anymore. How would I be able to authentically share a lifestyle that I wasn't living every single day? Because those nuances are so particular and they're so juicy and they're so important that I didn't even want to cheapen that by pretending, if that makes sense. Something had definitely shifted. And so then late August, September comes around. Yeah, we're still, it took us about a week to get readjusted to the time. They're 12 hours difference than us. So right now it's 12:29 p.m. here in the afternoon, and there it's 12:29 p.m. at night. They're 12 hours difference from the East Coast in America. So it took us like a week to get readjusted. I was up at 3, I was sleeping every like 2 hours. It was funny. But it wasn't until around late August, September that really started to hit that Chris was no longer fishing, because that was the time that he would drive out to California. And instead of packing him up, it was like, oh, hey, you're here and we can go do stuff together because you're not going back to California because you're not a fisherman anymore. And I'm not a partner of a commercial fisherman anymore. And that's, yeah, that was really the biggest, not trigger, but the biggest, like, oh, wow, yeah, things are different now. And honestly, the beginning of the season starts the first Wednesday in October. And even before that, when usually he's building traps and prepping for the season, he was talking to the fisherman who bought his boat, and he'd talked to other fisherman friends, and they were talking about predictions of the season and all that excitement that happens. And it was kind of like we felt left out because we weren't really a part of that conversation anymore. So that was interesting. Kind of in this middle of like, what now? Who am I? What's going on? And I brought that feeling to my mentor group. I had a mentor group last year, incredible people, all very accomplished, some that had run Fortune 500 companies, some that had built their own businesses to multi-million dollar years, and they just give back. They are part of the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. That just totally escaped my mind. In Wilmington, North Carolina. There's other, they're called, it's CIE is what people call it. There's other uh, organizations, or there's other CIEs around the United States. Usually they're connected with universities. So if check it out if you're ever interested, if you're a business owner, such a great place to go for resources. And they also offer mentor groups, or at least this in Wilmington they did. And so for the past, 9 months at that point, I had been talking about partners of commercial fishermen. Here's my idea to grow it. Like, this is what I'm thinking about for revenue, and this is what, how I can get the message out, and all of these things. And, I come in September and I just sit down and ask how everybody's summer was doing, how everybody's summer was. And I was like, so I have some news. Like, I'm going completely, not even 180. I'm going on a different planet now, because this is what feels more authentic to me. And I shared with them that I this path for Reiki and the spiritual path was really something that was speaking to me, and I wanted to go more into that. And I look around the room and I'm waiting for them to be like, "What? Are you nuts? Like, this is crazy." And they literally just looked at me and they nodded. They're like, "Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. If you're not 100% in it, then definitely make a change." And I thought, well, damn, thank you for that support. I mean, they've been there too. I mean, they've lost jobs, changed businesses, built new businesses, all kinds of stuff. So they understood it. I thought, wow. And they didn't even really understand what Reiki was or what the spiritual realm was that I was getting into. And I honestly didn't either. But I knew that was the way I needed to go, because I felt that pull. It felt more natural to me, even though I had no effing clue what I was going to do. And one of their first questions after, like, of course, do what needs to feel good for you, but what are you going to do since you're speaking on stage in a week at the Ocean Innovation Conference? And I was one of the panelists speaking about the entrepreneurs in blue tech, innovation in blue tech. And I was speaking about partners of commercial fishermen. And I thought, well, that's not going to change what I say up there because I love that community. I will always love the POCF community. No matter if I'm a part of it or not, I will always wrap my arms around our beautiful community. And I can talk about innovation in blue tech all day long and how we founded this and how we made this become a women's movement together by other women coming together and sharing their stories. Like I will talk about that all day long. I have no problem talking about that. But it was interesting to know that I was going to go on stage, no longer a partner of a commercial fisherman, and knowing that there was a big change happening with me, and I wasn't sure what that looked like. I was in the middle of a major transition, and I was just kind of like, the word surrender. I was just like, I mean, I'm just going to keep moving along and see what happens because what else am I going to do? I think at first I felt like I needed to hurry up and figure something out. And that was not helping me at all. I felt stressed out, wigged out, and I didn't feel aligned with it. At one point, I thought, well, I'm a woman in perimenopause. I'm going to talk about that. And the more I thought about it, I was like, I don't want to talk about that. I'm not well versed in that. I am still learning about that in my own body. But I was just trying to throw something out there like, yeah, maybe this is something that people will listen to and it won't offend anyone because spirituality is something I don't want to talk about, or I never really did it with the partners because I didn't want to offend anyone. And I felt like I had a responsibility as the founder of the community to keep things neutral, but to just talk about fishing. And I thought, well, I want to share more about what I feel like is most important for anyone, especially if your partner or yourself is in a high risk industry. I mean, connection to that higher power or your inner compass, your moral guide is the most important thing you can do through all the changes. That's never going to change. There's always going to be something happening, but the one thing that you can always control and always trust is that inner guide. And so that's what I wanted to talk. That's what I wanted to talk about. That's the biggest thing that I feel that people can feel more grounded in, that we've lost that connection to because the world is a busy place these days. And we're going to talk more about that as these as these podcast episodes continue. So it was funny because a few days after I make this announcement to the mentors, I get an email from one of them that says, hey, we're not able to, we have a booth at a business conference in Wilmington, North Carolina. We're not able to make it. Would you like to take the booth? You can talk about your Reiki business. I was like, what? Hold on. I just mentioned this. I don't even have a name for the business. Wait, hold on. Okay. So I thought about it for 24 hours. I was like, let me get back to you. At first, I was like, no, I'm not ready. But then I thought, why the hell not? Like, I have a booth going at the speaking event at the Ocean Innovation Conference. I had a booth. So I thought I could just switch up the booth a little bit and make it fit for the business thing. And also, this is a great way to have customer discovery. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. And talking about anything, like trying to connect with people to see what even interest is out there is going to be very helpful. And let's just wing it. I have zero expectations. So that's what I did. I spoke at the conference. I loved speaking on stage. It was so amazing. I'm really excited to do more of that in the future. And then a week later, or was it even a week? No, it was 2 days. Was it 2 days or it was the next day? It was something crazy. It was like the one day was the Ocean Innovation Conference. The next day was the business conference. And I set up my booth. If you've ever seen one of my booths, sparkly. I make it really, really pretty. I had, what do you call it? Not confetti. It's a fabric that's really sparkly. I'm looking at a shirt hanging on my closet that has it right now. I can't even think of the word. Anyway, tablecloths that were all silver, sparkly. I had candelabras that had the LED lights, flickering candles. And I was like, all right, let's turn this into a Reiki business or energy business. I don't know. What is this? I have no idea. I had to make up a name because they needed a name to put on the booth. I had to make up a business card, which I thought I'm not going to get any printed because A, I don't have any time. And B, I'm just going to do a virtual business card. So that's what I did. And you can do them online. I don't even know what I think mine's with Blink, BLINQ. You can get free virtual business cards that people can scan and then link into your email. It's really amazing. I just did quick email searches. I had a email lead generator. I made the Calm Compass, which if you haven't tried it yet, please download it. It's at meganwaldrop.com/newsletter. It's amazing. It's a bunch of tools that I use to this day on how to feel more grounded. So I thought, okay, I'm going to use this lead generator, have this card, and I'm just going to wing it. Let's go. So I get to this conference and I'm stoked. And people are like, so what do you do? And I'm like, stumbling over my words sometimes. I'm trying to figure out how to describe Reiki. And then I'm seeing people react to it in a very interesting way. Like they're actually into it, business people. And I had people come up to me and they're like, we have wellness retreats and this would be so nice with our business. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. But I was thinking, Reiki and energy work, it's very, very interesting. And you can do a crowd of people. You could have an energy work. But for me, what would feel more supportive was breath work. So I started talking about breath work. And that's when people started to light up even more. And I thought maybe breath work is the more accessible way. And I love this pivot because I was literally writing down notes that people were talking about. Like they would say keywords and I'm like, oh, I'm going to write this down. Oh, okay, this is their reservation, why they wouldn't. Oh, this is why they would. I'd write down all of these notes just so I could keep in the back of my head. I have all their email addresses and all right, things are moving, things are moving. So I end up getting a Reiki client out of that, which was amazing. Had my first in-person Reiki session. And since then I have clients in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I have virtual clients in Canada and New York. Open to more, but more on that later. But it was so cool to go there and just have this understanding of what people are into, especially in the South. I mean, you don't know if people are going to be into it. They think it's witchcraft. Like, what are you doing? Reiki, breath work? What are you talking about? And so even on my table, I had one of these little, instead of candy, I don't want to give people candy because no, and B, like everybody has candy everywhere. So I had little folded pieces of paper and two jars. And one jar said prayer and one jar said mantra. And I said, pick one or both, because I just wanted to test out to see what the audience was. Are people more mantra people or are people more prayer people? And people loved these little prayer and mantra cards. And they were both actually even. Like people took equal amounts of prayers and mantras, which I thought was curious too. So after learning that breath work seemed more accessible, I was able to cultivate these new ideas of how to get more into this corporate space. I had a woman that had come up to me and said, I love what you're doing. You explain things in a way is very relatable. And you don't see that with people in your field around here. And if you were able to plug into the business space, I mean, I feel like you would do really well because not many people are doing that. And I thought, I would love that. I love business. I love talking about business. I get it because that's what I do every day. I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm constantly learning and I understand the stresses that people are going through. And not only as an entrepreneur, before I met Chris, I was editor of a newspaper, so effing stressful. It was like endless deadlines, constant stress that the paper was going to fold because we didn't have enough money. There was all these ad sales that I had to hustle all the time, constant meetings. I mean, taking photos, it was endless. So that was one kind of mental stress. And then there's the entrepreneur challenges. And then also on top of that, the Partners of Commercial Fishermen experience. Like, what is it like to have that emotional pressure and challenge of wanting to make sure that your partner's going to be okay every day and finances and danger and et cetera. I get it. I get stress on many levels. Also, I've been working on myself for years into this wellness spiritual space. I'd love to share what I'm finding to help other people not feel so stressed and overwhelmed. So it's like, let's go breath work, right? So the reason I love breath work is because breath work is the only automatic system in our body that we have complete control over. And when you have breath awareness, you have self-awareness. And when you have breath control, you have self-control. It's really incredible. And there's so many different techniques out there to calm down in your nervous system. Because when you regulate yourself, you become more clear, more calm, more focused, inspired, motivated, so many good things. And it's funny because it's breath, we don't think about it. It's a subconscious, thank God we don't have to think about breathing every second because that would be a lot. But there are ways that we can take time for ourselves and breathe in a way that's very conscious and mindful that is really going to shape our inner world. And because of our inner world changing, our outer world will change too. More on that in future episodes. Excuse me. I'm going to take a sip of water real quick. If you're still here, thanks for being here. It really means a lot to talk about all this. It's so nice. And I really can't wait to hear your feedback about what you think of all this. And even if you'd like to share how your spiritual life helps your personal and professional life, please email me at support@meganwaldrop.com. I am always curious, open mic, no shame, no judgment, all good. This is the space in which we live. So, like I said, this is my invitation to you and to myself to share more of my life in this way and to hear about what's going on in your life when it comes to spirituality, and maybe what you were raised with and what now you believe in, if it's different than the path that you were shown as a child, or even how it's changed since maybe it's changed from when you had a family, didn't have a family, then you have children, like how that progression is for you. And I just want to share what I've learned in the past, what I'm learning, and at the same time, like I want it to be fun and exciting and be like, isn't it interesting that they say that the third eye, they reference the third eye in the Bible, not in a specific way, but this is what they mean when they say the third eye and how that relates to different other religious and spiritual modalities. Heck yeah. And what makes me different about talking about spirituality, because there's so many people out there that do this, is that I process the information and I explain it in easy digestible waves. Did I say that correctly? Isn't that funny, by the way? I just tongue twisted while I was trying to say that I process the information and then I'm able to share it in easy to digest ways. And this is how you know that I'm a human, because sometimes I trip up on my words, and that's how we are relatable, and it's all good. Plus, I have signature methods that I'm working on that really have changed my life that I want to share with you to help change your day in any moment that you need. And that's why I'm so stoked about it, because I know that these work. Like, these are ways that these work. There's all different kinds. There's journaling and meditation and breath and energy. I mean, the list goes on. And it's like you can pick what you like, pick what feels good for you and leave the rest. But just having a little, even minor tweak in your day, in your morning, or in your spiritual practice really does significantly make a difference so much. And I love that we have a chance that we can learn and lead alongside each other. This isn't, I'm not a guru, big surprise. This is not one of those spaces. This is a space to be like, what are you learning? Oh, that's cool. I like that. I might try that this time. Or, oh, that doesn't really vibe with me because this is what I believe in. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. No wrong answers here. So what's coming? What is coming in 2026? Shouting it from the rooftops. And this is how to work with me going forward too. So I'm excited to share that I have a 1 hour workshop coming up in February. It's going to celebrate the Lunar New Year. The Lunar New Year is on February 17th. This is more of the is known as Chinese New Year. Asian cultures celebrate this. And it's also actually a huge celebration and part of fishing, in the sense that I feel like the lobster season really peaks during the Lunar New Year. Like, this has always been a big time of year. But I'm really excited to share this workshop with you. It's called the Portable Wellness Toolkit: 3 practical daily resets to clear your mind and restore your energy on the go. And it's going to give you simple tools to feel clear, refocus, and more like yourself in less time than scrolling social media. And by the end, you're going to have 3 personal resets that you can use at any time of day. I'm going to talk more about this in future episodes, but I wanted to give you a heads up. But there's going to be super easy guided meditation, journaling. This is stuff that you can do on your own. And like I mentioned, breath work techniques, and also really a really cool bonus that I'm not going to mention here, but really, really fun, interactive, and joyful and playful, because why the heck not, right? So stay tuned. I'm going to be sharing more in the coming months, but that's going to come up in mid-February, this 1 hour workshop. Stay tuned. Please join in if you can. Would love to have you. So another thing that I'm really excited about is that I'm doing corporate wellness programs. I'm partnering with different corporations around Wilmington, and I'm extending out to others to implement more of these breathwork workshops for their employees to feel less stressed, to feel less overwhelmed, so they can feel more clear, more focused, increase productivity. It's really, really cool. I have really awesome workshops. I'm really excited. I do 4-week series. I do keynote speaking on this. I do one-offs. It's freaking amazing. I'm so stoked. And like I mentioned, I know about the stress in the editorial world as a newspaper editor. I know the stress as a partner of a commercial fisherman, and I know what it's like as an entrepreneur. And these are the tools that help me. And I'm so excited to help companies that really care about their employees share simple tools they can do that's going to make them feel more alive every day. It's something so easy. All you have to do is just learn how to do it, right? These are not boring workshops. This is not as some people called lunch and learn. People are going to actually walk away with tools, and they're going to learn the history of breath work, but also how it affects your body in ways. That's what's been so fascinating to learn about breath work, is that all these particular ways that it affects your body to the cellular level. And not only that, but our brains, mind blowing. So cool. But obviously, I'm going to share this in a fun way. And then we're going to practice these techniques. And then they're going to be able to implement that. And then they can go about their day. It's so awesome. And these workshops that I'm doing little bite-sized ones. So some are 30 minutes. Some people want an hour, but 30-minute workshop series are really, really awesome because people can take a quick break, go to a workshop, and then have 30 more minutes to do whatever they need to do. Or if they want to have a full hour, of course, I do that too, which is amazing. Also, I offer one-on-one Reiki sessions, either in person or virtually. And it's such a powerful way to really go in and clear the energy of your body. And it is so profound. And the thing about Reiki that I love is that you don't have to be as I like to say, you don't have to be a yogi meditating in the Himalayas for 3 years, okay, to do this. Although somebody who was meditating in the Himalayas got these downloads, Mikao Usui, I don't know how long he was there. Was it weeks? Probably weeks, months, no food, no water. Got these downloads when he was at the brink, okay? And they are ancient Sanskrit symbols that he learned about, and then he's taught to other people. This practice has been going on since before recorded human history. My favorite thing about Reiki, though, is that we all have the power to do this. That doesn't mean that, oh, this person has more experience in this wellness space than me, so I wouldn't be able to practice it. Or this person, has been studying spirituality longer than me, so I don't have it. No, no, no. We all have the power to do this. All we have to do is just learn the techniques. It's so accessible. It's awesome. And so I do one-on-ones, but also I'm a Reiki master, like I mentioned, so I can teach others to become Reiki practitioners if they want, or even Reiki masters if they want. And if you're curious about it, you can email me at support@meganwaldrop.com. If you're curious about any of these, hit me up at support@meganwaldrop.com. I got you. There's another project I'm working on in the future that I am slowly putting together. I'm stoked about it. It's still coming around, so I don't really want to say what it is yet, but you will be one of the first people that I tell, of course. And last but not least, this podcast, 2026, we're going to dive into spiritual practices, energy work, breath work, and learn from different people so we can feel more fulfilled and satisfied in our connection and have more fun with it. Like, why does it have to be so robotic and like these are the rules and you have to do it this way? It's like, no, actually, I don't have to. I can do whatever I want and it's fine. And I don't have to feel bad about that. And I want it to be joyful and fun. Because honestly, why the F are we here? Seriously, okay? Oh, yes. Okay. Man, what a trip we've been on. I feel like we've just been on a hero's journey. And in a sense, we all have been, and we always are. And that's one of the exciting parts of life for sure. So to close, I want to talk about 2025 was the year of the wood snake in Chinese mysticism. And it's also a 9 year. And in numerology, they get that by adding up all the numbers in a year. So 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, 2025 equals 9. And the 9 is an ending. That is the number that represents an ending. And last year was all about growth, glow ups, and fresh starts. And it blends the wood snake's intuition, trust your gut, with the wood elements, steady, supportive energy. So it's less about rushing and more about moving smart. And think about a snake shedding its skin, shedding that old habits, planting seeds for long-term goals, and making changes that actually stick. And it's a season for thoughtful planning, deeper connections, and those quiet but powerful breakthroughs that lead to real transformation. And I know lots of y'all out there have had major transformation last year. There's been something in the air, the year of the wood snake, the year of 9, this ending that so many of us have really come to realize, oh, this isn't working for me anymore. And for me, that was big shedding. That big shedding for me was the change in career and lifestyle when we sold the business, the fishing business. I ended a friendship, a 20 plus year friendship that no longer served. And I was honest about it. I had a phone call with her and said, listen, I feel, you've hurt my feelings in this way. And I wondered why, I also wanted to see what my part in this was. I'm not just blaming you, but I realized that I was a people pleaser. I was someone who wasn't comfortable with confrontation. I wanted to be the peacemaker, and I didn't want to stand up for myself. And also, I know that hurt people. So I was giving you grace, but now I'm letting you know that that doesn't work for me anymore. And she was very receptive, and I was very proud of myself for having this hard conversation. And I appreciated that she accepted it. And what a beautiful ending. Like now it's like, thank you for your service. You've taught me so much, and let's move on. So changing the career, ending a friendship, went to Bali, completely changed my path of purpose. Cried a lot. I cried a lot, y'all. I also, at one point between Bali, like between October and December of 2025, felt so incredibly uncomfortable in my skin. I just was like, had to remind myself that this is what change feels like. It felt foreign to be in my own home. My end of day routine felt weird. I was like, is this real? Am I real? This house, like now I'm gonna go have dinner and then sit on the couch and watch TV and then go to bed. Like this feels odd. I don't like this. Do I go to Bali? Do I go to Charleston, South Carolina? Do I fly to planet Mars? Like, how do I feel more like myself? It was bizarre. It was an out of body experience of like, but I didn't remember that was the growing pains. So, oh, also I cut my hair. Yes, that's right. I chopped my hair off inches. I don't know how many, like 12, 10. I don't even know. Feels effing amazing. And you know what they say? When a woman cuts her hair, she ain't going back. Like if you're dating some guy and you cut your hair, you know you're not going to see his ass again. Like if you know you're not going to see her or their ass again, you done. You have a new haircut. So those are my big changes. 2026 for all of us, to let you know, is the year of the fire horse. How exciting is this? It's a 1 year in numerology. So if you add up 2026, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6 is 10. And then you add 1 plus 0 is 1. This means it's a very high, powerful, high energy year. It's also called the red horse, and it's about new beginnings, momentum, passion, and big shifts. Like everything is speeding up at once. Think freedom, confidence, and the urge to break out of old patterns paired with a push to actually do something about it. It's a time when bold moves, fresh ideas, and real change feels not only possible, but necessary. This is your year. This is our year, y'all. And the thing about change, yeah, it's not going to be easy, but what's easier? Is it going to be easier to stay where you are and feel completely like you're not aligning with who you're becoming? Like it's feeling stuck. Is that easy? That sucks. Change, just know that when you go through change, it's going to be difficult, but man, the other side is going to be so much better. And it's just temporary. That feeling of not knowing what the F's going on is so temporary. But what will always help you, always, 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 is when you stop, when you go in, and you connect to God, your higher power, the universe, your moral compass. That is always going to serve you no matter what. Like Jiminy Cricket, always let your conscience be your guide. That is so freaking true. Change comes when you make a decision to change. It's not a feeling to be ready. It's so much more than that. It's more than trusting that the new path is going to unfold step by step and know that you're going to be in a place that you're ready to grow into. And you don't have to have all the answers because, first of all, that's so boring. If can you imagine? Even though it seems like it would be easier, but just to be like, all right, I'm making this change. And then new doors of opportunity open up. Like, all right, I'm going to tell my mentors that I'm going on this completely different ball game of a of a path. And then one of them's like, here's a booth. And I'm like, okay, let me go here and talk about I don't know what and make a random ass business card. And then I'm talking to people. I'm like, oh, breath work, being turning over here. And oh, now I'm talking to different corporations about it. It's like all of these opportunities happen whenever you're actually putting yourself in motion. You can't steer a parked car. You have to be in motion, even if you don't know where the F you're going. Trust that it will unfold one step at a time. And if you don't know where to start, remember it starts with one breath, one deep breath, and to tune into that knowledge and wisdom inside of you to let that lead the way. What an episode. What a first episode. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love if you're interested to close with me with a nice inhale, exhale, so we can return to that grounded feeling. So let's just take a little moment, like rolling out my neck here. We can just do one slow inhale and exhale it out. That feels so good. Just one. I'm just going to do a couple more just because. Join me if you want. No worries if you don't. I love you guys. Seriously. I know that might sound empty, but it's really not. I truly value this connection and that we're able to connect with each other intellectually, emotionally, mentally, spiritually on this new level. It's so epic. Thank you so much for your time. It truly means the world to speak to you. And especially on subjects that are so deeply personal and candid and personal to us all. And just remember that there's no right way, only your way. Take care. And until next time, y'all. Mwah.